So, in chapter 262 of My Hero Academia, the heroes continue battling the Nomus in the hospital. The Nomu tier system is finally explained. There are low tier, mid tier, and high tier Nomus. Above those are high end Nomus, which are capable of thinking for themselves and retaining their original personalities. Dr. Ujiko also reveals that he carefully selected villains with dispositions for combat as the hosts for the high end Nomus. Each high-end Nomu requires 3 months to stabilize after surgery, and they are difficult to create without All For One's help. Unfortunately, little Johnny-chan and Mocha-chan are confirmed dead. With no means of escape, Dr. Ujiko prays for the high-end Nomus to hold the heroes off long enough for Shigaraki to complete his upgrade, which is at 71%. Meanwhile, Mirko continues her fight against the 3 high-end Nomus. She manages to behead one of them with a lunar tijera. The chapter ends with the skeptic realizing that Hawks has betrayed the Paranormal Liberation Front as the heroes storm the mountain base. So, big fighting chapter this week. So we finally got the Nomu tier system explained, and it's revealed that all the high-end Nomus are actually villains with strong combat abilities. So, Connor, last week you had called that on Off The Stoop. So what are the implications of this reveal, and will we get any backstory for these high-end Nomus?
Thank you, DJ. That's an excellent question. Well, the reason that I even threw that out there last week, go ahead and check out last week's episode for more, was it would make sense that if these high-end Nomus require some kind of volunteer on the, like the person's part, the original humans part, they would more than likely, the scientist would more than likely want to be picking people who already had some kind of base bloodlust or psychopathy, some sort of like base trait in their personality prior to transformation that would just make them as a high-end Nomu that much, more terrifying and deadly. So I think it'll be interesting. I hope we get backstories on at least some of the high-end Nomus. I mean, his mentioning just of the fact that he picked, like specific villains for it, makes me think he's going to give us some kind of background, or, as these Nomus maybe develop more consciousness, they can kind of remember who they were, or in some way like have fragments of memories from who they were. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it seems like they're building on the reveal that Kurogiri was actually Oboro, Aizawa's classmate.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like they're just trying to further develop that plot point. So, but it seemed like Kurogiri didn't really seem like he inherited the personality of Oboro. So I'm wondering how that works out, whether there's like a certain level of awakening they need to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes me kind of wonder if these high-end Nomus have some sort of latent potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like heroes are capable of powering up and unlocking their quirk.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the high-end Nomus are capable of slowly unlocking their latent personality and other strengths. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
So I wanted to add in there, I'm pretty sure it was confirmed in this chapter as well that the Nomus are corpses, right? That they are brought back from the dead and created with these quirks, kind of like genetically modified and everything. So it does kind of make me question if we will get backstory. I don't know how necessary backstory is if they, if they were corpses, and there is, because I know we've talked in past episodes about, are we going to get those Nomu possibly, if they are heroes, are they going to revert back to their regular form? If Best Genus did turn into a Nomu somehow, would we get him back later? I think that is a big implication into like the future of the Nomu, and also finding out, is Kurogiri a Nomu or is he something else entirely? Because it does seem like they're trying to pull him back from something, and he doesn't look at all like the Nomus that we know, right? With like the
Mhm.
brain sticking out and the genetic modifications to the body and everything like that. So I guess I wanted to bounce a question back off to you guys of like, do you think that he is a Nomu that we know, like even in the tier system, or do you think he's potentially something else entirely?
So my originally thinking on Kurogiri and why he's so different is because All For One was around, and in this chapter, the doctor did say that things are harder now without All For One being able to assist. So I think Kurogiri could have been maybe like that first successful attempt at it. But remember now, Kurogiri only had one quirk. So my thinking is maybe that they brought Kurogiri back, and then they were like, "Oh, sweet, this works. Now let's just see how many we can jam into other Nomus," and then they just went buck wild with it with the experimentation. So right, because I mean he was there from the beginning, right? He's now arguably the first Nomu that we had seen. So I think that's why he's different. And now maybe that it could also have to do with his backstory. He wasn't fully evil, so maybe they had to do something different to him to get it like the transformation to go complete. So I mean that's my original thought on it, on why he's different. One, because All For One was around, and two, just because I think that he was one of the earlier experimentations.
Okay.
So would you say that because he's clearly not nearly as strong as the rest of these high-end Nomus, but he seems like he is a high-end Nomu, seeing as he has a personality and is more human-like than the rest of them. Would you say that's because they just didn't jam as many quirks into him? So maybe he is a high-end Nomu, but he's just not as strong, but he has mastery over that one quirk.
So I mean, now maybe he's a mid tier, right? Like they show us the low tiers, and then where they're fighting the high tiers now, right? So like I mean, there's a whole middle in there,
because there's like high tier and then high end above that.
Oh, there is. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
The high end's the difference there is like
yep.
The high ends can actually think and talk and stuff. The other three tiers cannot do any of that.
So now
I think he's a mid tier.
So I've got a little question: are the high ends? Do they have to be directed like the other Nomus? Like, do they have to be given directions? Like that was the whole thing with the doctors, that he had to give them directions. Do the high ends not have to get directions?
No, because I'm pretty sure the doctor, like, there's a panel when he's talking in this chapter. He basically says like, please survive, like, please, do something. He's basically leaving the high ends and leaving faith in them. He's hoping that they're going to be able to survive. So that tells me that there's some level of autonomy that they have where they're able to independently be making those decisions.
Yeah, I think they're able to think on their feet more because of the personality and kind of like just a regular villain. They still do take commands 100%, but I think when they're left alone, they're not completely just fight or I'm pretty sure they can team up and do all that stuff. Whereas like a bunch of the high tier or lower Nomus are just going to be rampaging until they're defeated,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also we got to keep in mind that these aren't fully stabilized high-end Nomus. Mm-hmm. So, right now they're just bloodthirsty, like the one that went against oh my god, I'm blanking on his name.
Mirko.
No, an incinerator dude. Oh my god, can't I call him that? Endeavor. Yeah, Endeavor. Yeah. Cannot believe I forgot. I spaced on that. So,
cool name.
Yeah. So the one that was fighting him was just kill. So was that a high end or was that a high tier Nomu?
No, that was a high end. They specifically said that was.
They did.
That was like their test run of the high ends.
And it had a motive, like it wanted to continue to fight stronger opponents. So I think that might be a characteristic as well. Like they have their own set resolve, which could lead to what you just said, DJ, a little bit earlier about can they unlock more potential? If they have a resolve, I mean, as we've seen in any manga, if a person has a resolve in the midst of battle, they can absolutely unlock a greater potential,
Yeah. And that could just be, remember he said that their original resolve as like the evil villain could just that could be the original person taking over, saying, oh, I want to kill the biggest hero that I can, and so like that is just kind of still left over from that original villain.
Mm-hmm.
So as strong as these Nomus are, Mirko has had a pretty epic debut to the series, fighting against 3 of them at once. Now, of course, they haven't been fully developed yet, so she's able to take 3 on at once. But
is it 3 or is it 4?
I thought it was 3, maybe 4.
No, there's 4.
I think it's 4.
4.
I thought it was 4.
So, but now it's finally seeing Mirko in action. I just wanted to see what you guys think about her compared to the other top 5 heroes above her. So that would be Endeavor, Hawks, Best Jeanist, and Edgeshot. So that'll go to Devin. What's your opinion now of seeing her debut and her fighting style and everything?
I think, she is definitely a very strong hero, but there are clear weaknesses compared to the other 4. I would say she's possibly one of the most agile and quickest. It seems like with her rabbit powers that she's extremely powerful. Her legs all are tree trunks, the Saquon Barkley leg. But I think, compared to other things like a big flaw, it doesn't seem like she has much range. Now, again, we just saw her, absolutely tank 2 of those Nomus within range. But like I said, there's clear weaknesses. If someone, what would happen if she fought Dobby? Would she even be able to get close? If she does, she could beat him. But like I said, she's a cool hero for sure. I don't think she's someone that you reside to save the day every time, like in Endeavor.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they gave her a pretty sweet introduction. Like, I mean, she is definitely one of the fastest heroes. I don't know if, like, there aren't any that come to mind that are much faster than her. And I mean, those panels though, when she was like bouncing off the walls, destroying the vats and everything. I mean, I thought that was some pretty cool destruction.
I mean, full Gatling Midoriya is probably going to be just as fast.
True.
Yeah, I was about to say full Gatling Midoriya. Endeavor, when he is like blasting himself forward, I would say he is possibly as fast. We don't know, but it's speculation.
Maybe.
There's a lot of destruction with that. If he's fully jetting, he's blowing everything up.
Speed alone. I'm just saying speculation wise of pure speed, kind of like a Superman Flash race, right? Like if they were just side by side going in a straight line. So I would say that Endeavor could possibly be up there, and we don't know how fast Hawks is. I mean, he's very agile. He can fly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a quicker character, especially he's in the top 5 of ranking. So
I mean, what's faster? What's the top speed for a hawk and a rabbit in real life?
Hawks eat rabbits. Hawks eat rabbits, so clearly hawks are faster than rabbits.
Well, I mean, I don't know, but
on a foot race, yeah, but like
a swooping angle versus a
those are slow rabbits. Yeah, there's plenty of videos.
Natural selection.
Yeah. Those aren't top 5 hero rabbits.
Yeah, I mean the one thing I'm confused about Mirko though is like the little. I mean, I guess it's the power scaling in general because Endeavor was definitely slightly weaker than a fully trained high-end Nomu. I mean, he won that fight out of just sheer willpower. But even these high-end Nomus, even though they haven't been fully developed, she's still taking 4 of them on at once. And I mean, she smashed one of their heads. So it's got me wondering, like, how tight the power level is between the top 5 heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So, question with that, and I may be wrong here and missing something, but wasn't that one specifically set out to fight Endeavor? Didn't they know that going into that they set that Nomu up just to go out, like, to cause destruction and get him because he was the number 1 hero?
I don't think so, because remember Dabby afterwards was like, Hawks, like, why'd you give us literally the strongest hero? Like, we weren't expecting the Nomu to lose like that.
Gotcha.
Hawks played it off like, oh, like, don't you want to see like the upper limit of what it can do? But like, really, he was just trying to protect the city.
So I mean, then we don't know what the power scaling is between a fully developed high-end Nomu that really is then.
Yeah.
You know. And if it's not that much, then there might not be a lot of difference within that power, within the power structure. And again, doesn't a lot of in this universe what goes into being a hero isn't a little bit of it like fame as well, and like how popular you are.
Yeah.
So I mean, Endeavor may be a cooler overall. I mean, he is a cooler overall hero than Rabbit Mirko. Like
to us, not in that universe though. He's not very popular.
Mirko's a waifu though. Don't sleep on the waifus.
I was wondering who the first person was going to be to bring that up on this, and I did not think it was going to be Xander.
I didn't either.
It's still 180.
So
all right, I like you're in this,
so one thing that I also want to point out on Mirko and how badass she is, her arm gets completely ripped off, and she still keeps going, and then so her arm gets ripped off, and then she kills the Nomu. So I think that's
she ties it off with her own hair.
Yeah, her left arm is completely ripped off.
You missed that?
Oh
DJ,
my god, that's crazy.
There's like a full panel of her standing talking about.
She's definitely dropping down the ranks after that.
Well, if anything, it is a shame,
legs, dude. Her powers in her legs, not the arms.
If anything, it'll just it'll hurt her from whenever she gets like blown back, or maybe able to like use her hands to move around more easily. But still, the fact that she's still able to kill a Nomu, and then what is it? She also then goes on to talk about how like, oh, I have like basically no fear of killing you. Like that's the way to get rid of you is I need to kill you. And so it's a good shift in that like mindset where with the bad guys, like you had to, you should, like as a hero, you shouldn't kill one of them. You try to detain them at all costs, but they're kind of like, nah, F it. We're just gonna, we need to kill them. And so I hope that the other people kind of take that mentality forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think they just see it as, they're nipping the villain plot in the bud, so to speak. Like, yeah, it's not the cleanest form of, getting this done, but if we don't get it done now, it could turn into something that is unstoppable.
And they're mindless, zombies, right? So they were dead. So I guess it's not wrong to put them back in the ground, right? So
yep. Dilemma there. So the last thing I want to talk about is so there's no more means for Dr. Yujiko and Shigaraki to escape, and I had previously said that I thought it would be like a big anime entrance way later in the arc where Shigaraki would appear and kind of just dominate everybody, but it seems like that may not be the case. So, Xander, what do you think? How do you think that Shigaraki and the Doctor are going to escape? Is Shigaraki going to finish his power up right now and bust them out? What do you think?
So that was one thing that I was a little confused by is where are they? Are they like right next to all this fighting? Or because now remember in the last chapter there was that panel where it looked like he kind of was just like going back into this tunnel. So and I was completely wrong, and I think like 2 episodes ago where I thought that, or it might have been last week, where I thought that Shigaraki's thing had been broken out. So I was definitely wrong on that. But I think he's gonna come out in this. So I think we're gonna see that the mountain resort and the hospital are tied together, and then I think they're gonna get out and then try to like flee towards the mountain resort. And then obviously that at the last panel was getting destroyed. And so I think then with everybody around, Shigaraki is going to have a huge, like explosion and basically, be able to get away. Maybe without the Doctor. I feel like this might be the end of the Doctor. I just don't see how he'd be able to get away unless he had some secret quirk. But yeah, I don't think he's going to come out in the next coming issues. I think we're going to now flip over to the resort and see that for a little bit. So it's interesting to kind of think where he's going to come in with this. What do you guys think?
So, one, where they're at right now, he does seem to have some sort of like cave, like just inlet. Like they are near the battling, but it's almost like they're just in another room. It seems like he took that chair and went back. I was thinking, and I don't know how you guys felt about this, if Shigaraki's been in that chamber the entire time, right? And that percentage has been going up since we left off. mathematically it would be impossible for him to get up to 100% in the short amount of time that we have. Correct?
It's a month. He said that it's been 2 months and it takes 3 months to get in, which then lines up with the around 66%, so 2/3. So it'd be about a month for him to come out full.
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to see him be forced to come out at like a 75, 80%. Again, it's one of those things where the author is writing in holes to say he's not at 100 yet. We're obviously getting to a point where Shigaraki, whether he's defeated or not, he is a long-term villain. We're going to see him again at a stronger level than what he is now. So I feel that whether it's at 75% or 73, somewhere before 80, I would imagine they're going to have to pull him out and he's going to fight. Now, I do think we're going to see a couple heroes get defeated or all of them have to retreat. I do think when he comes out, we are going to get that anime, and it's going to be a lot more than what the heroes were expecting. I mean, that just makes sense. But in seeing that he'll be at like an 80%, it also leaves room to say, okay, he can be beaten, and then he'll come back later as well. But that's how I took that. I don't know. How do you guys take that?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's the one who's going to bust him out. I'm a little disappointed just because that's not what I predicted, but I guess at this point, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I don't know, Connor, you got any thoughts?
I mean, it just seems more and more like they're setting it up for, like Devin said, I think you put it perfectly. You know, they're setting it up for that anime entry that the heroes didn't expect, and they're you know, for a little while they're shaken, they're surprised, they're are we going to get it? And then they do. They end up managing to overcome him, and then we see him, you know, survive somehow, or maybe he gets captured, and then there's a breakout. But it's setting it up for, you know, the big anime entrance, but it's not his big anime entrance. I think there'll be another one after that that's like, ooh.
It's not the graduation fight just yet.
So I had a theory that Connor just triggered in me. So what if he does get captured, and then they put him down, and then it's like All For One's like big plan, like the Joker, right? Like you got me, I got you, you know, like, you know, kind of like waiting for that, and then All For One just pops out, and then Shigaraki pops out, and then that starts this whole end of the world thing. I don't know. It's just an idea.
I don't know. I think that's All For One's stick. I don't think they need like give it up. You know. You know, this is like that. This is like the scene from Iron Man, the first one, where like he's like in the cave, like in the loading bars going for the suit, and they're all like around the door with the machine guns, and then he's like, boom, like busts out, and then just
That's good. That was a good comparison there. I like that.
Interesting.
That's what it seems like they're building up towards.
So Shigaraki's Iron Man.
Yeah. So anyone got any final thoughts on chapter?
No, I think it was a good chapter overall, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
All right. Yep. So yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe. And you can follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Off The Stoop. And we'll see you next week.